Welcome back to Central Valley Talk, where we celebrate what's good about Fresno and the whole valley for that matter. There's so many good things going on that you should know about. So when we hear about these things, we invite guests in and ask them about it. George Starbuck has been here several times talking about his organization, Youth Voice Impact, and you've done some big things. Tell us about it, George.
Well, yeah, but before I tell you about the big things, you know what I always ask, or what I always say, don't you?
Yeah, I don't remember. Remind me, George.
I always like talking about the events that we put on, but I love coming back and just, sharing about the results of those.
The results,
that is the real, real thing.
The results is what it's all about.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you have an event coming up. We're going to tell you about that in a minute. There's going to be a guest speaker, Ricky. I got it all wrong. Jackie Rivera? Jackie Rivera. We'll get to you in a minute. But George, tell us what's up and what's going on and what's coming up.
Well, this is kind of a process. Our kids, the last time I was here, which was in April, we were talking about our youth are at the cusp of revolutionizing college housing across the nation, starting right here in Fresno. And the process kind of began, maybe a year and a half ago when we held our first Youth Empowered Affordable Housing Summit, that our youth centered on putting together a definition as to what affordable home ownership is for the next generation. And I'd like to read you that definition, for it's amazing. It says, to us, housing attainability is the chance to enhance our opportunities through home ownership while not living paycheck to paycheck. It is the ability to attain and obtain a house while not sacrificing survival necessities at any income level. Just profound statement. What our students are wanting to do is to achieve the American dream that was afforded to the baby boomers, but they're facing the American nightmare. It used to be that if you worked hard, you went to college, you could achieve that American dream of home ownership. And that nightmare is no longer available to them.
Right. And by the way, you held a forum with youth, young people,
yes.
And they came together and they made that statement.
Yes, they did. We had some 75 young adults over at Fresno State with Congressman Costa, Andy Hausler, the mayor, and other prominent individuals that assisted them to look forward into their future, to realize this inheritance that they're inheriting, which is a sad inheritance.
Right.
And so then in April, from that summit, a new idea came into place, which is called short-term home purchase developments for college students. And it addresses the 6 obstacles that are laid out in 3 areas. Education, not having the education sufficient enough to obtain that job, to pay for the home. And that education may be college, trade, some type of advanced education. And not having any education in reference to the responsibilities and preparation for home ownership. Then the second is economics, student loan debt, and having no savings. And the third is societal, out of control inflation. And truly we're trying to push the next generation into servitude of home rentership rather than ownership. So the short-term home purchase development centered around that. What we looked at was to take a piece of property, build a couple hundred homes on it, and the student qualifies becoming a short-term home owner through their enrollment into, rather than coming up with a down payment.
That's how they qualify.
That's how they qualify. And so from that, and I'm just going to throw figures out for ease of explanation, but maybe a target point. They pay $1,000 a month, and $500 goes to the land trust and the construction loan, and then $500 becomes home equity savings. At the end of 4 years, they would be required to release that ownership to the next person waiting in line. But in so doing, they walk away with about $24,000 that they can use to pay off their student loan debt, put down on a house, start a business, or put the money in the bank. Fascinating idea that came up from them. And now, you got a question here.
No, I'm just
Okay.
saying that's enough for a down payment on a house. They get out.
And now we're moving this forward into the next phase. We're actually putting together on October 10th a pre-planning meeting looking at short-term home developments. Now I want to take a little step back here. Our mission statement of Youth Voice Impact is to cultivate young adults to care for their community while developing a responsible current and future generation. Unfortunately, the current generation has forgotten their responsibilities and their accountability to those generations to follow. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes the youth's responsibility to remind the adults of what their responsibilities are. And so in doing this, they've come up with this definition. They've looked at this plan. Now they're reaching out to the adults to begin who have the power and the resources to assist them in actually creating this short-term home purchase development. And so that's what the pre-planning. And we've been turned on to maybe some funds through the EPA, what are referred to as Brownfields Funding. Unfortunately, on the west side, southwest side of Fresno, there's a lot of contaminated sites that the funding is set aside to help turn those areas around and bring in new development. We see this occurring a lot on the East Coast, but not so much here on the West Coast. And so at this conference, which is only going to go, well, actually it's more of a workshop. It's going to go from 10 to 1. We're inviting Dave Norman of Provost and Pritchard, who heads up their environmental consulting team to speak about Brownsfield. Jackie here, who's a key speaker, for she comes to us from the California Land Trust Association, and she's going to be speaking here in just a couple moments on how we go about establishing such a land trust to get this off the ground. And then Claude Lester of he's going to share with us some opportunities that are currently available.
Before we go too far, tell us where, when.
Where, when. This is directed not really to college students, but to the shakers and the movers and the leaders of our community. It's going to be October 10th at the West Fresno Center, Fresno City College. You know that new campus that's over on Church? And the property we're looking at is located in walking distance from there.
Nice.
It's from 10 to 1:15, no fee. We will serve you some lunch, and you can go on to the web page and please register.
And tell them the web address.
The web address, go on to yvinc.org.
And it's on the screen there.
It's on the screen right there. Just click on the green up there. There's register now. Click on the little green and sign up and register.
You're going to plan for how many lunches you need and stuff. So it's important people register.
Yeah, we're only looking at about 25 individuals here.
And what's your role in this?
Yeah, my name's Jackie Rivera. Again, I'm the San Joaquin Valley Community Ownership Project Coordinator. Super long title, but really exciting things doing here with the California Community Land Trust Network. I'm going to be having the opportunity to speak on the panel and be a part of this conversation and, yeah, continue to be able to support. I represent the Community Land Trust, California Community Land Trust Network. We are a statewide organization with membership of community land trusts all throughout the state of California. You can see here we have about 50 community land trusts in 22 counties and growing. I'm very excited to continue supporting that growth here in the state. We'll be talking a little bit more about what a community land trust actually is We don't only focus on housing. What a community land trust overall does is a nonprofit entity that is, governed by community, that retains or acquires land and is able to steward and hold that land in perpetuity for the benefit of community, primarily folks that don't have the economic opportunity or racial disparities from long ago and current that continue to put barriers up for folks, not only for home ownership, but even affordable, accessible housing. Also, some of our members, again, aside from housing, also support just green spaces, opportunities for community building, and so, yeah, community
It almost
land
sounds like
trust.
that is exactly what fit with what George was talking about.
Yes, it is, and that's why we're so excited to explain to us how do we get this off the ground. And by the way, this is a brand new idea. When I say that we're at the cusp of changing things, this has never been done across the U.S. And in order to launch this right here in Fresno, Fresno should feel honored, privileged, and get involved in this.
A couple things. One is there's a need for student housing all the time. Either the colleges are going to have to build the housing or kids are going to live off campus or whatever. But these houses, whoever would invest in this, the houses aren't going anywhere. It's not like a car loan, you drive the car away. Houses will be there and they'll increase in value over the years as well.
Well, this isn't so much in terms of increasing the value of the house as it is to provide more of maybe a forced savings loan.
Forced savings, yeah.
In order to step into that house beyond. And this concept, by the way, can be tweaked to many different ways. It actually could become a mini step into home ownership for other individuals.
Other individuals, yeah.
Yes.
Once you get a community going, then you could do another community with a different target. So how can people get involved? They could attend this meeting,
Yes.
and the date is October 10th.
Yes.
And it's all on the website. Go to the website. That's my best recommendation. Here's the website again for Youth Voice Impact, Inc.
And I just kind of want to reiterate, the progression of this. The mission statement was developed by a group of young adults. The housing definition was created by young adults. The short-term home purchase developments was created by or put into the process by young adults, and now we're moving towards this. They are the leaders to come, and they are the ones that we should be investing our time in.
Yeah, that's great.
I want to share maybe our last slide or that one as well. No, the last slide.
Okay, let's go to the last one here.
Just in terms of how the network supports organizations and communities like what Youth Voice Impact is doing, right? This came from the community, not only the idea, but the momentum is continuing. And so our network really likes to support and is excited when new potential community land trusts are sprouting in our area and across the state as well here in San Joaquin Valley. We not only connect folks with resources, and you can find out more in our website at californiacltnetwork.org. My contact's also there. If you are in the Valley, we are doing a lot more intentional work here in the Valley. We have a really strong network in the Bay Area and in Southern California, but we know there's a lot of exciting ideas here in the Valley, and so we are currently hosting a cohort as well as providing more resources for organizations and community groups. These can also just be grassroots groups that are looking into community land trust models. And I will say that what George is speaking to is something completely different in the sense that community land trusts come from a long history. The first one here in the States was in the 1960s. And was led by African American civil rights leaders, and that was called New Communities, Inc. So this comes from, and before that, other global history. So it's not a new concept in the sense of community governance of land and that kind of retention, but in terms of the short-term home ownership, I think that's a really interesting concept and one that is going to be explored here first. So.
George, we are out of time. Any last thoughts on our viewers?
Thank you for allowing us to come back and share with your audience what we've done with our events and how we're moving forward. Again, that's the exciting part.
I'm very excited about it too. If you want to attend, go to the website. Tell them your website again, George.
Youth Voice Impact Inc. YVIINC.org. And Jackie?
CaliforniaCLTnetwork.org or Jackie at CACLTnetwork.org for an email.
And with that, we'll be back with more good news about the Valley right after this.